I met the most amazing man the other day. He is a man that's confirmed to me that no matter how strange we all get in life, there's always someone a bit stranger. He was a taxi driver. I flagged him down. I was in a perfectly good mood at the time, and he turned out to be a proper, you what, you toilet? Yeah. You muppet, you love it, what up? Right? Proper Cockney. I was in a perfectly good mood. I flagged him down. He wound his window down, and he said something to me. Now, you tell me if this would have annoyed you, because I was perfectly happy. He said, "All right, Big Bird, where to? Sesame Street." I was furious. I sat in the back of his cab, seething, grinding my teeth. And he turned out to be the strangest man I've ever met. Who have you ever met that does this? He listed the contents of shops on our route that no longer existed, right? So we know, that's a shame. That used to be the old steakhouse there. That was lovely. You could get your fillets, your T-bones, your burgers, perhaps a lovely beer. And I went, oh, that is a shame, because, yeah, there's old Terry's hardware shop there. You used to be able to get your nuts, your bolts, your hammers, your ladders, your high-vis jackets. Now that's all gone. There's the barbers, haircuts, right? And I thought, well, insane. This man's insane. And I was still fuming over the Big Bird comment. I was waiting for a chance to get him back. I got my chance when we went past a shop that still existed in the East End of London. It was a pie and mash shop. And he went, oh, there's the old pie and mash shop there. And I went, right. He goes, yeah, I love it in there. Delicious pies. And I went in there the other day and I tried to get the recipe for their pies. I said, oh, really? He goes, yeah, because as well as being a taxi driver, I'm also a successful restaurateur. Which, of course, ladies and gentlemen, was a lie. And I went, and did you get the recipe? He goes, no, I didn't get it. No, they wouldn't give it to me. They said it was a family secret. I said, that's a shame. He goes, it is a shame, because they're delicious, their pies. And he said, the strangest thing I've ever heard. Try and get your head around this. He went, yeah, it is a pity, because it's not just pie they put in those, you know. I went, I'm sorry, mate. He goes, it's not just pie they put in those. I went, what? In pies? He goes, yeah. I said, pie's not an ingredient, mate. He went, what? I said, pie's made up of constituent parts that have been brought together. It's not an ingredient. He goes, what are you talking about? A pie's the pie. I said, is it? Because Jamie Oliver's show's going to be a bit shit from now on, aren't they? He goes, what do you mean? I said, I'll show you. Hello, everyone. I'm Jamie Oliver. Today, I'll be making a lasagna. I'll just get the ingredients. A lasagna! He goes, oh yeah, very clever, son, but a lasagna is not a pie. I said, it may as well be using your system. What are you going to do if you get a flat tyre on your taxi? He goes, I'll change the tyre. I said, you can't, because tyre is part of taxi, so you must throw taxi away. He goes, I don't know what you're talking about. I said, do you honestly not? I said, all right, I'll help you. He goes, well, I'd like you to explain it to me. I said, all right, we'll do a role play. He went, okay, let's do a role play. This happened, right? I went, right, I'm a cake shop owner. He goes, okay, you're a cake shop owner. I went, right, you're coming in to buy a cake. He said, I'll have a cake, please. I said, hang on a minute. You've got a fatal nut allergy. He went, fine. I went, right, let's go. This happened. He was in the front of the cab. I went, good morning, sir. I went, good morning. I said, can I help you? He goes, I'd like a cake, please. I said, certainly, sir, I have several cakes. Which cake would you like? And this is when he went up in my estimation a bit, because he genuinely did this. He went, I'll have that one there. Amazing, right? And that's where I pulled out my ace card. I went, excellent choice. The nut surprise. He went, hold up a minute, I'm not allowed to have nuts. And I said, oh dear, have you got an allergy? I better check the ingredients for you, hadn't I? No, you're absolutely fine, sir. The only thing in this cake is cake! He said, I can see nuts on it there, right? I said, no, I baked this, and the only ingredient I used was cake, so put it in your big fat face and swell up like a balloon and die. And he goes, oh yeah, very good, but at the end of the day, a lasagna is not a pie, a cake is not a pie, a taxi is not a pie. I said, there's no such thing as pie! of pastry and one other thing. He said, what's the other thing? I said, I'm not telling you, it's a family secret. Don't mess with me, taxi drivers.